With Barry.
Arlene Schofield.
My name is Shireen Snow.
My name is Carla A. Miles.
Diana Camuto.
This is Christine Dunford.
I'm me, Eden.
Caroline Macy. This is Walker Fannin.
Lydia Camille Dixon.
I'm Sarah Dates Wardam.
My name is Linda Preston, and you're watching the Keith Andrew Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Keith Andrew Network. This is episode 400, and today's episode is 436. I'm here with the talented and beautiful Carol Lopez, and I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Thank you.
And we also have a special guest today, Mr. Finway.
How do you say his name?
Oh, his name is Finway.
Finway?
Finway.
Okay.
Usually I have my set behind me, I have my belt and my decorations, but he's here. I'm like, alright, forget it. I'll just let him have the spotlight. But it's basically a normal conversation, and you're making a new friend out of it. So starting off, what can you tell us about yourself?
Well, I stepped out of my corporate job a little over a year ago to pursue my dreams, and that is acting. I've written a book. It's in the process of getting to the point of completion before I can release it. And it's, my mission is to inspire people to face their dreams like you have done. And so I wanted to give you acknowledgement for what you are doing because I absolutely love your cause.
No, absolutely. Now, you mentioned a couple things already that I was kind of interested in. You mentioned you stepped away from your corporate job. Well, what was that about? What did you do?
My whole career has been in human resources, and then I got into more of the facilitation of groups. And then I just decided that I really wanted to touch more people on an individual basis.
No, really cool. And you mentioned, can you talk about your book, or you like to keep it once it's out, then you can talk about it?
I would love to talk about it a little bit. Because there is a section in there regarding labels, and part of my story is that I saw a psychologist once, and he put the label on me as being abandoned as a child. Now, I did not even recognize that I had been abandoned because I was well taken care of as a child, as far as, always having good food, shelter, all the basics. But emotionally, I was abandoned. And that really played a huge role in the mistakes that I've made in my life. And I have children, and they're grown, and they have dealt with drug addiction. And so there's that label of addiction. And it's really, it just really touches me, the work that you are doing. Because labels do not have to define a person. And we do not have to be victims of our circumstances, of our childhood, all of those things.
No, absolutely. And before I ask you about your acting career, we'll go back to the easy questions.
Okay.
One, what did you major in college? And were you a study nerd or party animal?
Okay. So my path was a little bit different. Coming out of high school, I was not ready for college. I felt like that's what everybody else was doing. And I really wanted to get away from home, so I joined the Navy. And it was there that I became the party animal. On base, we could purchase a beer out of a machine for $1. And, it was kind of depressing living in the barracks where you're surrounded by cinder blocks, so you couldn't really make it homey. And just being depressed, being away from home, being away from family and friends, that was a huge transition in life. And so I did turn to alcohol to, cope with those things. And then later on, I went to college and I received a master's degree in organizational leadership eventually. My undergraduate was in general studies, and that was a concentration in psychology and a minor in criminal justice.
So you want to become like Batman?
Yes.
Well, in a way, you kind of are like, well, not like Batman, but like Batgirl. You're a criminal justice, and also first of all, thank you for your service, and also you are in the Navy.
Yes.
And now for people who want to know, who influenced you to become part of the Navy, and how many years were you part of the Navy?
Okay, so this is kind of funny. The way that I chose the branch of service was based on the uniform and how the uniform looked. I thought that they had the best dress blues, and so that's how I made my final decision. And basically the recruiters came to the high school and told me all about it, and so, it was just something that I wanted to do.
Hey, don't mind me. My cat's trying to steal its spotlight. He's a prima donna. What about, do you have many funny stories that you want to share from your Navy years? Actually, before you answer that, the other part of it is, did you ever want to move up in the Navy, be like a captain, a colonel?
So I was in the enlisted ranks, and so I was serving the officer side. At the time, I didn't really know much about the military and how that all worked, and honestly, I was probably too immature to be an officer. It's just where I was at mentally. Sure, I did move up, and I got out of the military as an E6, and I spent 20 years in the military, but all of that was not active duty. So part of it was 6 years active, and then all of the rest was in the reserve where I was a weekend warrior. And I actually had a pretty easy time in the military, not like a whole lot of other folks that got deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq. I never did any of that. I was on shore duty in San Diego, California. I'm originally from Chicago. And so that was, it doesn't get any better than palm trees and sunshine.
Yeah, what was the expression, living like men in uniform? So when you met your husband, was it the same way, but it was reverse?
Well, actually, I met a sailor and married him, and then followed him up to Washington State, and then we ended up getting divorced. And then I met my second husband here, and he, come to find out, had served 4 years in the Marine Corps. But he's no longer in, and so that was a long time ago.
Does he have any medal? Do you guys have any medals or anything, or?
Oh, I have lots of awards for recruiting, and I don't know. We're just there to serve, and we get what we get. I don't know. It's not really about the awards. It's just more about serving our country.
That's true. And again, thank you for your service. Actually, while on the subject, a lot of stores do this and a lot of stores doesn't, but what is your opinion about giving a military discount? Well, for one, I am for it, but what is your opinion?
I think it's great. It's a token of appreciation for service. And who doesn't love a discount? So I'm all for it. Sure, why not?
That's true. I remember this was one store I used to work for. It was an arts and crafts store. They had the senior citizen discount, and they had the military discount and the teacher discount. But in the store I work in right now, they don't do any of that. It's kind of like, I don't know, I feel like they're kind of hypocrites, because if it wasn't for people like you, only knows where we would be right now.
Right. What was the last discount that you said?
Oh, it was senior citizens, military, and teasers.
I've never heard of that one. The last one, teasers?
No, t-shirt.
Oh, t-shirt?
When you're an educator, t-shirt, or you're...
Oh, a teacher.
Sorry, I have a kind of like a speech impediment.
Oh, that's okay.
Now, the next thing I was going to ask you is... Let's see, what I'm going to ask you. What did you mention you... times... When I don't do my interviews that way, my disability shows more. So I was going to ask you, as an actress, who influenced you? And for people who want to follow in your footsteps, what were some of your steps? Did you take acting classes? Who inspired you? Did someone open the door for you?
Well, I kind of got here in a roundabout way. The people who inspired me, I used to watch the Carol Burnett show as a child, and I would mimic Carol Burnett, Vicki Lawrence, and Tim Conway. And then when I got a little bit older, it was Gilda Radner and Jane Curtin from Saturday Night Live. So those people really are the folks who inspired me. And life has a tendency to get in the way, and we lose sight of our dreams. And things happen in our life, and then, one day we think, wait a minute, this is not what I set out to do in life. And that's where I found myself, and I had to stop and think, when was a time when I was really happy, enjoying myself? And that came back to me the memory of imitating Carol Burnett and Vicki Lawrence for my parents, and I would make them laugh. And so then that kind of got me started way later in life, and I'm going against the odds because they say that it takes 20 years to become an actor, and I don't really care what the external factors, the noise outside, what the statistics say. As long as I'm having fun and I'm continuing on the journey with persistence, that's really what it's all about.
No, absolutely. For impressions, could you give us a couple examples?
Oh dear. Probably not. It's been so long since I have watched any clips of that show. Yeah, I think I'll pass on that for now.
All right, well, I can do some impressions, but I'm not, great at it. But I can do, Yogi Bear. It sounds like an oxymoron because everyone does Yogi Bear. Hey, boo-boo. How you doing?
That's pretty good.
And a lot of people say, I like to say it sounds like Ray Romano, but there's this other guy from, starting to think of the Venture Brothers from Adult Swim. But I really don't know. That's number 2. A lot of people say number 2 is crap, and a lot of people say my impression of it's kind of a crap. So pretty much the impression's like, hey, come on, I just got to the deodorant. Why can't you go buy your own?
That's good.
I have my moments.
Yes.
What about, did you ever think about going into voiceover acting, or do you like being on screen?
I have an interest in doing voiceover, yes. I've taken a workshop on that, and it looks like a ton of fun.
Well, I do a lot of fan-made parodies just for fun, if you're ever interested in doing some.
Okay.
So basically, I'm a big fan of Dumbo and Jungle Book. So I would take certain parts from the film, like the pyramid scene, or the pile-up scene. And the whole scene in Jungle Book where they're marching and he's doing the whole patrol thing. So I would get those parts, and then I would add lines to it. And whoever I like, I was like, hey, you want to do some voiceovers? So basically, the person would reenact the lines, and that's why it's called a fan-made parody. Because you're putting your own spin on it.
Gotcha.
Funny enough, that did get more hits than actually my interviews. I don't know why. Okay, I know people are a big fan of Jumbo Book, but still, I do put a lot of hard work into the episodes, so it's kind of like, can it just even out?
Right.
But I was going to ask you, what were some of your favorite online scenes? Or were you just extras, or?
Some of the work that I've done,
Yes.
I have done background work, and that got me on set, and it helped with networking. So that was a great experience. I did fill in as a stand-in when ABC Studios came out to Seattle. That was, a huge production, and I stood in for Erica Pissanini. And then the other thing that I did that was probably the biggest thing is being on an Alaska airline commercial with the Seahawk quarterback, Russell Wilson. And last year, 2017, was a year of a bunch of first experiences. So I did my first short film and my first feature film. So I'm waiting for those to come out. As you can tell, I'm pretty new at all of this.
No, same here, I started about 4.5 years ago. I can't even talk. So I started early in the morning. I started 4.5 years ago, and tell you the story about it if you want to hear it.
Yes.
I started. Don't ask me why it seemed like a good idea at the time. I had a recording for every time I said that, but hey, it seemed like a good idea at the time. Now I can't say it was a straight face because I keep seeing it over and over. I was doing phone interviews, and I was still having panic attacks. I suffered from depression, social anxiety. A lot of people like rubbing it in my face that I have poor people skills. I can't hold down a conversation. Sometimes my disability fires up, as you can see, or sure, that I kind of lose my track of thought. But it's pretty much just like therapy for myself, just saying, I give you an example. I used to work over at North Face, and I had a reason to walk over to someone because I had the badge. Oh, if you need anything, for an example, you came in, you're looking for a jacket. My name is Keith, and you need anything, let me know. I always hold the badge. Now that a couple years later, I have a talk show. I actually now have a self-confidence about saying I don't need some stupid badge or some piece of plastic to give me the self-confidence. I met over dozens of people, and I feel good about myself, even though people like to make comments and jokes about it. But I gave myself self-confidence. So this is kind of like therapy for myself. I'm making a difference in somebody's life, in people's lives. And it's all about, making a difference. No matter, it's the thought that counts. No matter if it's big or small, when we die, it's like how you want to be remembered. And I would like to be remembered as saying, hey, Keith never amounted to anything, but he was nice enough to give me an opportunity to be a guest on his talk show, or he was nice enough to do this, he was nice enough to do that, and it's all about being remembered. And it's funny enough because, I use my brother for an inspiration, I use my dad for an inspiration, I got tired of using my disability as an excuse. But one of the stories recently was the fact this all started on a birthday list. I know that sounds stupid, but to make a long story short, I turned 21, and people said, you turn 21 only once in a lifetime, as we know, if unless you believe in reincarnation. It's like, you turn 21 only once, you should do something special, make the best of it. And I'm like, well, I'm like CM Punk, the former wrestler. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. If I have to die one day, I would like to have a couple famous friends. And at the time, I tried to introduce myself. Hey, my name's Keith, I have a disability. I like to extend my hand in friendship, and at the time I was being told, go blank myself, or I was being called a lowlife, parasite, whatever. So I was like, okay, maybe I can work around it. Maybe I can tweak it, make it sound a little better, so I don't sound so selfish. Then, I was sitting around with my family, and we were having conversations. I'll talk to him, talk to her, he knows people, but I need to take the state exam. And I said, what about me? I'm just giving you the highlights of how everything came together. And it's like, what about me? Well, what about you? You're not educated, you have poor people skills, you keep getting fired from every job you ever have, you piss people off. I don't know if that's talent, some people think it is. You piss people off, you don't know when to shut the hell up. You bitch and moan, and you're not educated. So I said, fine, I'm going to show you with a disability what I can accomplish. And thanks to you, we're back up to 436. Originally, this still drives me nuts. Originally, you were supposed to be 736. Unfortunately, I was taking people at their word. Now that you've seen, I have a book of permission forms. I have a form. I introduce myself, tell you what the concept of the show is, and you agree to let me interview you. However, in the beginning, I wasn't doing that. I was taking people at their word. And little by little, people were saying, yeah, and this is how they talk. Yeah, my agent said, my publicist said, you ask a lot of stupid questions, we don't like the video quality, we don't want to be seen with people like you. Because when I first started, it's like how you see on the reflection. Right. If that's what the camera picked up, it's because I was recording from the phone to the computer. Then I was recording. Here's the camera, and you can see it in the early seasons. So it was a process. I didn't want to do this from the start. I could have, but I didn't know if this was around in 2013. But I wanted to show people there was a transition, there was a growth. I started from one thing, then I went to the other. And I'm just showing you, look at what I did for almost 5 years. This June will be 5 years. But I'm showing you that, hey, with someone who's handicapped, mentally disturbed, retarded, who has no degrees, who never went to college, look at all the lives he's touched and all the people he has met. Mm-hmm. That's giving me like a brief highlight. I didn't mean to complain to you.
No. You sound very normal and human, and you are just like everybody else. We go through the same things. And all those naysayers, we call them haters. Keith, you have come so far, and what you have right now is what many, many people desire to have, but they don't have the confidence, and they are filled with fear. And I know what the work is that you put into this, to be consistent with this, to find people on an ongoing basis to be on your show. It is a lot of work, and I just cannot give you enough acknowledgement for the work that you are doing. Seriously, I just love what you are doing, because you are an inspiration to me and many, many other people. And I don't know if I mentioned to you that I'm a life coach, And so everything that you just said really resonated with me, because that's why clients come to me, is because they want to build their confidence. And you mentioned that you had a badge, and that gave you maybe confidence at first, but now you don't need the badge. And in coaching, we would call that badge an anchor. That anchor is just something to remind yourself that, yes, I am worthy of success. Yes, I am somebody. So again, kudos to you. I'm going to blast this video with all of my mistakes out to my community and really ask people to subscribe to your YouTube channel. I hope that you get an award as a YouTuber. I want to see you grow massively.
No, I do too. A lot of people think this is just a hobby or they just humor me. But I want to do this until I die. Now I record it from my bedroom. I don't want to do that. I mean, I have this opportunity to be on public access, on public broadcasting. I would like to do it once every day, because I have ADD. I want to do something every day. Yeah. You're like, we can do it once every 2 weeks. All right. Not really. I guess I can get a full-time job or something else to keep me busy. But it's a start. Yeah. I live in a small town, and I'm going to be on Channel 22, knock on wood. But I kind of said something recently that they didn't get back to me on, so I kind of rubbed them. But that's another thing with my disability. I rub people the wrong way. Not saying, hey, I'm going to be an asshole today. I don't do that. It's just with my disability. And my brother can vouch for this. I have poor people skills. And I just rub people the wrong way. I don't do it deliberately. Okay, sometimes I do, but there's other times where I don't. And it's kind of like, the guy said to me, okay, well, you can use the studio, and we're going to pick the themes, or you can pick the themes. I'm like, yeah, I picked the themes. This is my talk show. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to feel comfortable doing it. So it's like, you can do a half-hour show. Okay, I don't really need that long. Maybe a half hour would be fine. And then I said, to let you know, all my interviews, like this one, goes from PG, and some of them go to rated 14. And there's no episode rated M, there's no boobs, there's no, nudity, there's none of that. There's sometimes some people use the F word. If you get me fired up, I do spew from the mouth. But it's in between. Some episodes are PG, and some are PG-13, some are 14. And I'm showing you there's, different genres I can touch. And I know my dad's like, well, you're on public TV. You can't do any bizarre things because you got to embarrass yourself. And also, they're got to kick you off and never have you on a channel again. And I said to them, at least in a way, not to my parents, to the studio, said, I would like to keep the show as it is. Just like if you ever come to Central Valley, New York, we should definitely hang out or come to Commons, do the interview live. But it will be the same theme. I don't want to change it. But the more I was thinking about it, the more as maybe I could come up with a different name. Maybe call it the Keith Andrew Sit Down Hour. But keep it to that theme. Freedom of speech, self-expression, and just enjoy it. Not feel like, all right, today on the show we're going to talk about this. And then sound kind of robotic, and it's like, I like being different.
Yes, people want to see that. People want to see your authentic self. They are going to be attracted to you because of who you are. Just who you are today. That's why people are going to come to you and want to be on your show.
No, absolutely. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And with the last 8 minutes left, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Okay.
Me, Mark Medley.
Hi, everybody. This is Mark Neely.
Barry Papick. This is Peter Bruno.
My name is Kyle Collier. This is Julio Santiago, better known as Dynamite.
I'm Richard Epcar.
Orange Chow.
This is Kerrigan Mahan.
This is Golder.
And we both support
Keith Andrew.
My name is Ron Wasserman, and I am supporting Keith Andrew and what he is doing, and you better do the same, or I'm going to come kick your ass.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the KeithAndrewNetwork. I'm here with Carol Lopez, and what's the last 8 minutes left of the show, counting down. I have 2 questions for you, and then I'm going to pass the show over to you. And I promise I will shut up and you don't have to hear from me again. So the first thing I was going to ask you is, did you do any sports growing up, number 1? And as a life coach, how would you size me up? Do you think that I'm living to my expectation? Have I passed your expectations?
Okay, so the first question, growing up, I didn't really do sports, but in high school, I was a pom-pom girl, and so we did dance routines at halftime during basketball games. And then as a life coach, I see that you are living your dream and that you are a huge inspiration to people. And, there is some negative talk going on there, but, that can be changed because, it's up to you to speak life over yourself and confidence into yourself. And so, there's a whole lot of a-holes out there in the world.
Yeah.
And, I'm not seeing what you spoke about. The fact that you said that you're an asshole or that you have, poor people skills. That's not the way that I perceive you. I'm not seeing any of that. So,
I put a good mask on.
Yes.
Was a lot of things, certain people, I won't mention any names, they like to poke fun and tear you down. But they're just reflecting themselves on you. And you asked me one of the questions, what gave me the motivation? Mm-hmm. And actually, I'm going to save it to you. Yeah. Was there any questions you want to ask me? Or was that one of them?
Yes, I wanted to ask you, what were some of the things that you did to help build your confidence?
All right, trying to find the words for it. Recently I came up with this whole concept is I am who I am, and if you don't like me, I don't care, friends, family, whoever you are, if you're not going to be supportive, you don't want to be part of my life, there's the door, go make friends with it, and I don't care if I ever see you again. And, a lot of people said, oh, he's only kidding, so, no, I mean that, it's like, there's the door, go make friends with it. Because I'm so tired of being talked down to and being criticized by a whole bunch of people. So I just have I like to keep it PG-13. I keep myself I don't give this shit attitude. Like, I'm going to do what makes me happy. I'm going to express myself how it makes me happy. And that kind of goes back to the thing where poor people skills and I rub people the wrong way. It's because I'm giving myself the confidence of saying, if I'm happy, that's all what matters. And you're going to join, the whole bandwagon or everything, or you're going to join down the line. But it's pretty much what gave me this confidence was saying, I like to be remembered for something. Yes, I do want it, as Oxymoron says, I want to be rich and famous, like everyone, there's thousands of people that say that. But the thing I want to be remembered for is when I die, like I mentioned earlier in the show, I would like to be remembered for something. Like, if I, don't become a talk show host, one thing you would say, one thing I remember about Keith is he was nice enough to give me an opportunity to be a guest on the show. I would like to be remembered for something, so that gives me motivation, and walking around with the I don't care attitude gives me the other motivation too. Just keep moving forward and just do what I like.
Yes, absolutely. When you were talking about if you don't like me, you can get out of my life, it reminded me of the title of my book, because the title of my book is Muck Off, and it's exactly that. Sometimes there are some toxic people in our life, and we need to tell them to muck off. But really, the concept of the book is to become free from all of those things that hold us back. The things that when we get ourselves into certain situations and we feel stuck, like, for example, a relationship that's full of domestic violence or the drug addiction issues. We need to clear ourselves from all of that muck to become our ideal self, to go out into the world, to make a difference. And when you do that, that is when you find your true happiness. And I see you living that life right now.
No, I appreciate it. And with that being said, I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
And my cat's getting antsy, if you can see. He wants to be the center of attention. Right, Mr. Fenwick? At least he knows his name. So, with that being said, the first question I was going to ask you, are you on social media? Are you on LinkedIn, Twitter, Stage 32? What websites would you recommend for people that want to reach their goals?
Okay, so I do have a Coach Carol page on Facebook. I also have another page, and they're linked together, my actor page, also on Facebook. I am on Twitter and Instagram. Stage 32, I do have a profile there, but I don't really go there much, and I'm also on LinkedIn. The platform that I use the most right now is Facebook and Twitter. But I do know that I need to hang out on Instagram a little bit better and, learn how to link all these things together.
Yeah, absolutely. There's this thing on YouTube where you can share a whole bunch of things. There's Blogger I sign out to. There's something called, I think, Rabbit or Reddit. It's RITT something.
Right.
And there's something else I sign up to, like Pinterest. So yeah, I share the interviews all across that genre. And hey, if there's people that you would like to invite to be on the show, we can do a double interview. We can do a group interview. That's the thing on my show. I've been doing single interviews all this time. I want people say, "Oh, you should be a public speaker. You should be the best. You should be that." I want to interview multiple people, like double interviews, group interviews, so when I see an opportunity, see a group of people, I can just jump right into it.
Okay. Are you looking for people with certain backgrounds or anyone?
Anyone.
Okay.
And my last question is, I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your first reaction, and what made you say yes?
Well, I don't remember exactly your first contact with me, but I do remember thinking, okay, who is this guy? Because I do get some men that contact me on social media, and I do have my own little vetting process if I'm going to accept somebody's friendship or not. And then the more I looked into you, I really liked the way that your platform was set up. And then when I heard your cause, I was sold. So that's what made me go with you.
And now for people who are not sure about me, or, that we did demo years over the years, what would you say to them? Do you think give them another shot, or do you think, because first impressions are really hard. So, yeah. Especially rubbing people the wrong way. So, what would you say to those naysayers?
Oh, I would say get over yourself. Put your ego aside. and let's support each other in making our dreams come true, because that's really what it is about, the relationship, developing a friendship.
No, absolutely. Now stay tuned for off-the-air questions. But I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road and building a friendship with you as well.
All right, great. I thank you so much for letting me be on your show. I will remember you for being someone who is nice enough to interview me and let me be on your show. And I do hope that we continue this relationship.